This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there, Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, December the 28th, back in 1975, a football play, unlike any other in NFL history, was made. And it coined a phrase, a little bit sacrilege because the way it was called is with the Roman Catholic religion. But anyway, we're in the 1975-76 NFL playoffs. 8 teams qualified for the playoffs. In the AFC, Pittsburgh, Oakland, and Baltimore won their divisions, with Cincy being the wild card. In the NFC, Minnesota, the LA Rams, and the St. Louis Cardinals, yes, the St. Louis football Cardinals, won their divisions. Dallas ended up being the wild card. And they were hoping to be 1 versus 4 and all that. However, in the AFC, it couldn't be 1 versus 4 because Cincy and Pittsburgh both were in the same division, so they couldn't meet each other. So Pittsburgh had to deal with Baltimore on home turf, whereas Cincy had to travel to Oakland instead of Baltimore. So the NFC and AFC playoffs started. Contrary to popular belief, the Dallas-Minnesota game, which I'm talking about, it was not the first playoff game of the 75-76 season. The previous day, on December 27th, Pittsburgh hosted Baltimore and won 28-10. Kind of was easy and all that. And then the LA Rams beat St. Louis 35-23 on their turf. And all that. But the Dallas Cowboys would face Minnesota. Gary Bender and Johnny Unitas would make the call for CBS. The first half was dominated by defense. The only scoring play was the second quarter on a 16-yard touchdown by Fran Tarkenton. In the third quarter, Doug Dennison would get a touchdown run. So it was 7-7 after 3 quarters. And then in the fourth, Dallas took a lead on a field goal by Tony Frisch. And then Brent McClanahan got a touchdown run to make it 14-10. Dallas was in deep doo-doo. They got their ball back at the 15-yard line with only a minute 51 left. So Staubach tried his best to get to Drew Pearson because Drew Pearson was a pretty impressive player and all that. So anyway, it was huge. And then it would be a huge play. 4th and 16. Staubach and Pearson made up a pass. So anyway, a couple plays later, Staubach threw a deep ball to Drew Pearson, who caught the ball through tight coverage by Wright and Krause. By Nate Wright and Paul Krause. So anyway, it was a 50-yard scoring reception, and Dallas took the lead. However, Wright fell down as the ball came out, and the Vikings argued that Pearson pushed off and should have been flagged for offensive interference. Alan Page was upset with this. It was penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct and ejected from the game. Tarkenton was angry at the officials, and fans would then decide to throw objects onto the field and all that. And a liquor bottle hit official Armin Terzian in the head, rendering him unconscious and needed 11 stitches. The NFL decided to ban glass bottles from being sold at stadiums from here on out. The fan who threw the glass bottle was found by police, pleaded guilty, and was sentenced to a $100 fine. Tarkenton could not play well, as he got sacked twice, and Dallas ended up winning 17-14. I think the Simpsons actually honored Armin Terzian because in The Principal and the Pauper, which people think it's non-canon, um, when Skinner gets found out that he's not the real Skinner, he says, "My name is Armin Tamzarian." I think it was some kind of homage and all that. Anyway, the Vikings were pissed off. I mean, they freaking won the division. They won the number one seed in the NFC. They were 12-2, and it looked like the Vikings were going to head to the Super Bowl, possibly against Pittsburgh. I mean, that was just terrible and all that. Dallas did beat Minnesota in that game, and Drew Pearson said it was a Hail Mary full of grace and all that. And this was the third time that the Cowboys and Vikings met in the playoffs. Remember when I talked about the Immaculate Reception a week ago and talked about the 72-73 playoffs? Pittsburgh said Dallas and Minnesota met. That was it. Minnesota beat Dallas in the 73 title game to get to Super Bowl 8, where they were trounced by Miami's running defense. And of course, this game also had an unhappy ending for Tarkenton. Not only did Dallas get away with offensive pass interference to win the game in Minnesota and get to the NFC title game, but Tarkenton found out that his father, Dallas Tarkenton Sr., I guess Fran Tarkenton's Dallas Tarkenton, actually died of a heart attack watching the game. However, they did find out that Dallas Tarkenton died in the third quarter. So basically, he didn't see the Hail Mary pass that happened. So he died before then. It was a bad omen. Dallas would go on to play in the NFC title game at the LA Coliseum and shockingly crushed the Rams with divine power 37-7. The Rams always had the problem with it being in LA. They were basically, I hope you're in a train, or someone does videos about how bad the LA Rams were in the 70s. Like, they were so good trying to get to the title game, and yet they couldn't get to a Super Bowl until Super Bowl 14. Dallas would lose Super Bowl 10, and it was a famous Super Bowl because it was that 21-17 game that Lynn Swann just took over with. He only made 4 catches, but 2 of them were the greatest ever, and this is still 1976. So that's amazing. So anyway, yeah, the Hail Mary full of grace, and Drew Pearson did the first major NFL catch that was a Hail Mary. It wasn't a complete Hail Mary. There was still time on the clock after the catch, but whatever. You can't be too technical, or can you? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.